Ladies and gentlemen, we got another very, very special guest here tonight. I met actually the owners of this particular franchise called StretchLab at an EDC thing in Marlboro, which was a community gathering where all these amazing business owners came together, and they said, I'd love to be on your podcast. So we have the General Manager of the Marlboro, New Jersey, I believe that's Marlboro, New Jersey Township, or we want to call it, and it's Lisa Elg, right? And we have Lisa here from Marlboro's StretchLab. Ladies and gentlemen, Lisa Elg. So Lisa, I didn't meet you directly. I met Steve and Sherry at the place, and I guess those are your spokespeople, right?
Yes.
And I do a lot of research on people, and I noticed that I think your first day was January 2nd, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
From Princeton.
From Princeton store.
Ah, see, I do my research.
Very good.
So tell me, what were you doing in Princeton, and why you came to StretchLab Marlboro, and then we'll get to your backstory.
Okay. I was in Princeton. I was a flexologist / salesperson.
For StretchLab?
For StretchLab at their Princeton store.
Okay, when you say theirs, so Steve and Sherry own
Steve and
all the
Sherry-
StretchLabs in the world?
No. Oh, if only. If only. No, they own the Marlboro one as well as the Princeton one. And I was a flex, and I did sales there.
Ah, I gotcha. So you were so good, they wanted to bring you back to Marlboro.
So in a little bit of my history, I worked for their competitor in
Who was their
South
competitor?
Carolina. Stretch Zone.
Oh, so they do have competition. Okay.
They do. Boo.
Well,
no, just kidding.
we'll overdub the booze, Lucia.
Thank you. Sorry. So I had experience managing there. I was assistant manager and then a GM there. So I did that for a year, and then I moved here, and
To Princeton or Marlboro? Because if you...
to Princeton area.
Oh,
That's,
okay.
Yeah, I was.
That's
in
a commute, isn't it?
It was from Yardley. Yeah. I
Yeah.
actually just moved a week ago to Belmar, so I'm closer.
So you. Oh wait, you're not closer now to Marlboro than you were in
Yeah.
Princeton. Oh, I gotcha. So how long were you doing this in the other place? How long were you doing that?
So I got hired in September. We were doing pop-ups prior to opening, and we opened in November.
So pop-ups. So this is important because I know that I'm looking into pop-ups now. So define pop-ups for the audience that don't know what a pop-up is.
So pop-up is like a store on the go.
Right.
So we'll be at a site, and we offer our services, and you're also able to sign up at that spot.
So when you do that, is it like a local mall?
We were fortunate. We had one specific spot that was actually right next door to the location that was being built for Princeton. So we lucked out. It was right next door. We were able to walk people over to it and like, this is where we'll be, and show them the site.
So pop-up spots, can you rent them by day, or is it like something you have to get into with a month or so?
I'm really not sure. We just lucked out because the mall had a spot for us next door that we're in. The other store is in a market fair, which is like a boutique mall.
Gotcha. So I got to be honest with you. I knew nothing about stretching. When I saw the stretch thing, and then the Mayor Hornick was like, my golf swing is so much better, and if he was going to you, I knew that there was some validity to it. But I learned about stretching from reading a David Goggins book. Did you know anything about David Goggins?
Is that Embrace the Suck?
No, it's Can't Stop Me or Can't... Something like that. It's a book that it was his whole journey becoming a Navy SEAL. Okay. And at the end of the book, I mean, this guy's trained and he's done everything, and he's in the hospital. He couldn't move. And he realized that if he began to stretch, all of his ailments went away. Literally all of them. So for those of you who don't know David Goggins is a phenomenal story. But I think it's called Can't Stop Me, or something like that. And he talks about the whole stretching method and how it made him stronger than actually weightlifting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so tell me what you know, what I now know, but what most people don't know of how important stretching is and the benefits of stretching.
There are so many benefits. It's unbelievable. Where do I start? So one of the most uncommon, little-known factoids about stretching is you actually sleep better at night. You're more comfortable in your skin. Your body releases endorphins. If you come in and you get a 50-minute stretch, you're at rest. Your body begins to release endorphins. So you change the neurological relationship between stretching. A lot of people are like, I don't stretch, it hurts. But as you're laying on the table and the endorphins get released, now you're actually getting a new relationship. Stretching feels good. The endorphins are released. And you take that into your sleep that night. So that's just one of the side benefits that most people don't go to stretching for that.
But do you do this every day to get a good night's sleep?
No, But the more often you come, the more often the better night's sleep you're going to get.
What do you recommend? Once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week?
It's all customized. We would get you in there and we would see, like, okay, he's got multiple problems. He's got upper body problems and lower body problems. That's going to take a solid 50 minutes to attack that. And then how often, how active you are, how are you injured? Are you recovering from something? Are you using this as a catalyst to get back into fitness? So there's lots of different reasons, but most people will come about once, sometimes twice a week.
Gotcha. So from what I know, now I don't know much about StretchLab, but I do know that and stop me if I'm wrong, when you go there, there's like an iPad or some kind of camera that looks at you and you got to do these hand things, and then it kind of rates you and says this is where you are on the scale, which helps people like you determine what kind of stretch needs to be done.
Yes, that's pretty good. Pretty good description.
Is that spot on? Wow,
yeah,
so I did do my homework. So as far as that goes, how accurate is a computer? Because everybody's body's different, right?
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Is there accuracy to that, or is it just a general kind of idea where to start?
So we call it a map scan.
What was it? Map scan?
Map scan.
Map scan, okay.
And a client's going to do 3 overhead squats. It's going to measure their mobility, muscle activation, posture, and symmetry. And it's very accurate in the moment. Meaning, if you just had a really long car ride, it's going to pick that up. If you have an ankle injury from 3 months ago, it's going to pick that up.
Wow. You see, this is incredibly important because I know there's been some posts and videos that say, I'm a perfectly healthy person and this scan is showing otherwise. But you just made a really good point. If you hurt your ankle 3 months ago, and it's not top of mind because their ankle is healed, and they do this scan and then the numbers are a little wacky, it's probably because of that injury, right?
Yeah, the body's going to show compensation on the other side. So an ankle might show compensation on the knee or the hip, sometimes even the shoulder on the other side of the body. And those are actually the most fun people to work on because you're not just getting inflexibilities, you're getting imbalances. So, we were really going to customize something for them.
Gotcha. So now this is a really tough question. So you are are you certified to do stuff like this?
Yes, everyone there is certified to do stuff like this.
So when you look at that, there's a certification for looking at numbers and knowing how to stretch somebody? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
So what kind of training takes place and where do you get these certifications?
So it's actually through the StretchLab Corporation itself. So everyone who comes in initially, they have to have some kind of background in exercise kinesiology, fitness.
Okay.
So you have to have some kind of ability to put your hands on another person stretch-wise.
Gotcha.
We have a lot of yoga instructors, PT students, PT meaning physical therapy, massage therapists, nurses. And then once they come in, they'll do modules with us, and they'll be sent to do, we call it FTP, which is Flex Training Program.
Oh, okay.
So then they're board certified from there.
Are they board certified for StretchLab, or is there a certification like a medical doctor certification?
No, it's through StretchLab, but it's nationally accredited BodyWorks. So,
Gotcha.
And they could use this. Actually, they can use it. NASM. They can use it to get discounts for other things, right? So they can use that. They can then get discounted to become personal trainers, things like that. Like it counts as a credit toward those things. So continuing ed, that's the words I'm looking for.
Gotcha. So I had a back problem and I went to a physical therapist, right? Would you be along the same lines? Like, is StretchLab almost like physical therapy for people who are not trying to recover from something like a bad back?
So it's really similar. We never, ever diagnose. So if you had gone to your physical therapist, you obviously received some type of diagnosis. So we kind of pick it up either in conjunction with or afterwards. A lot of times the physical therapy, they do great work strengthening the muscles that got hurt as well as the ones around them, compensating muscles. We kind of come in and say, okay, while you were hurt, what'd you do to yourself?
Gotcha.
This is how we're going to help you now. These muscles over here got overworked. These ones got tightened. These ones got shortened, and that's where we come in. But at the same time, we have a lot of people that go to physical therapy at the same time.
Oh, I see. So in tandem, it works.
In tandem, yeah. Chiropractic care, all of that.
Did you find people who come for stretch therapy is less prone to having an accident, like straining their back?
Yes.
Look at that
We
smile.
love that you just asked that question. That's a great question.
That's like preventative medicine, right?
Absolutely. So a lot of people come in, it's a sedentary lifestyle, like all of us.
Yes,
And
like we're sitting down right now.
exactly. And we're not here to judge or say, oh, you got to change
Right.
that. We're here to say, okay, this is where you are. These are the problems we find that have happening so far. And now going forward, we're going to help prevent further problems. So you meet you where you are.
So I'm thinking out loud for a second, because there's a lot of companies even in the local Marlboro area who people have lunch breaks, right? Let's say it's an hour lunch break. I know that you guys offer like a 50-minute. There's different, do you offer people for lunch break sessions like 30-minute sessions or 20-minute sessions?
Yes, there's 25-minute sessions that you can do.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and we do have people who actually come in on their lunch break.
That's great. And let's plug the Father's Day. I know Mother's Day just passed, but you're running a Father's Day special.
Of course.
Yes.
We're always running a special.
Always running a special. So the next part of this, you may not be able to answer, but you guys are the first to actually be on the podcast that are a franchise-related business. Everybody else started their own businesses, like my music school's a business, or there's a karate school. It's independently owned. So I guess for Sherry and Steve, you own more than one of this. So how do you go about, acquiring a business, or did you ever think for 1 second, you know what, StretchLab does it good, I think I could do it better? Or do you make your StretchLabs to be as better, or the better version of what you would have looked at see? So I guess the question that I'm asking is for entrepreneurs who are looking to start their own business or inherit a business or take on a business. How did you do that?
The whole thing about a franchise is that it's kind of a set model already.
Right.
So, we did not have a business before.
Mm-hmm.
So, when we heard about StretchLab, and we knew that the product itself, the stretching aspect of it was something that was amazing, we just didn't understand how you make it into a business.
Right.
So we spoke to the company, and they showed us their model, and we said, this should work.
And they train you to be owner-operator.
Owner training.
Yes.
And throughout the whole process, we kept expressing fears, saying, we're not entrepreneurial. This is our first time doing
Wow.
this. We come from corporate America, and they would continuously say, trust the process. We have a playbook. If you follow the playbook, more or less you'll be okay. And that was the framework for it.
Gotcha. So you guys have enough courage now to have two of these, one in Princeton and one in Marlboro. Mm-hmm. So how long did you own the first one before you actually stepped up to the second one?
Well, there's a kind of a schedule that you go off of, which we didn't follow because of COVID.
Great, yeah.
COVID and supplies, construction supplies, all kinds of things. So there were delays, but we had a 3-pack
Mm-hmm.
of studios to open.
So you had to open 3 different
Well,
studios?
we didn't have to. We chose to.
Oh, okay.
So we have 2 so far, and we're working on number 3 now.
Gotcha. So I have 3 music schools, and I'll ask you both this question. It's difficult to find the right folks to work with you, and I say with you, not for you. The one thing that I do things different here than any other music school. I have coaches. I don't have teachers. That's the one thing that's a big fine line between coaches and teachers. But how hard was it to find somebody like Lisa here?
Very hard.
Yeah. Because
she's a one of a kind.
yeah, without Elisa, but no, and it's not to stroke you, but without Elisa, you can't make number 2 or number 3 happen. So you started in sales, right? Mm-hmm. And then, to me, sales is one of the most important parts or aspects. So what made you such a great salesperson?
I come from car sales, actually.
The lowest of sales. Whoa.
I almost didn't want to admit it.
I almost don't want to. Well, no, so if you come from car sales, so sell me a subscription or a package, or sell me StretchLab as opposed to your competitor. Tell me why I should go to StretchLab. So sell me.
So you should go to StretchLab because you are going to feel amazing starting at just after or even during the first stretch.
So what if I just go on YouTube and see some of the StretchLab videos? Because you guys have videos on your website.
Yes. So you could do that, and you can try to mimic it, but a lot of what we do is called PNF. So
what does PNF stand for?
PNF stands for, it's a quiz. Proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation.
Oh, okay.
PNF. So the body's at rest. We ask you to engage the muscle, hold the breath. Soon after you release the muscle, you breathe. We've increased the range of motion. We do that in positions that if you could do that on your own, you could be in a circus. That would be phenomenal.
Gotcha.
So you need another person to do it. You need someone qualified, and you need someone who actually cares what's happening to you.
Gotcha.
And that's where our staff is amazing. These are caretakers.
Gotcha.
Really, really talented people.
So, you ever hear of the unique selling? It's called the USP, unique selling proposition. So you said the USP. So you have a competitor, right?
Yes.
What's your, or I should say, StretchLab's unique selling proposition that differentiates yourself from anything, whether it's YouTube channel or your competitor? What would you say that the StretchLab offers you that is so unique that your competitor doesn't?
I think it's a few things. One is the staff. We're super careful who we hire. It's not just their book smarts, their degrees, anything like that. They have to be true caretakers. And then the second part is their knowledge. The third part is we're really customizable. I recognize my competitor's ability to do a really good stretch program. Absolutely. Dynamic stretching, it's the way to go. It's fantastic. But we can really customize what we're doing. So the PNF is customizable, as well as taking it, tailoring it. We're also doing strengthening. Once a client's in for about 3 months' time, we then begin to strengthen.
Like a personal trainer?
So there's two parts to PNF. There's strengthening, and then there's stretching, and then strengthening. We do nerve flossing. Like, we kind of take it next level to according to what the client needs. So we've gotten you nice and loose. You feel pretty good. You can tie your shoes now. Well, how did that problem get there? Let's take a look. It's probably some type of overstretched muscle, and on the other side, it's probably too short. So we work with that.
At what age would you recommend somebody joining you guys?
We have a few teenagers, so 14 and up.
Oh, wow.
And then we have some older people. At Princeton store, we have a 91-year-old. Wow. Yeah, she's so strong, she pushed me right off the table. I mean, she's amazing. Yes. Yes.
Well, she's probably not married anymore because she probably did away with her husband. So, no, I mean, I guess, and how do you market? Do you market just, because I know my demographic are kids from the ages, let's say 4 to 12 or 15, whatever it is, but how do you market? Do you market the teenagers, the moms, the dads, the workers?
Gosh, it's kind of everybody. We've got a whole program, Renew Active, where people are, if they have Medicare, they're able to get 2 free stretches per month.
Oh, so you insurance covers you guys?
No, careful there, careful.
So wait, so I can't use my insurance to go to you guys?
No, if you have Medicaid, what is it? Medicare Part C. They have Renew Active.
I understand.
That's through United Health. But HSA, FSA programs, you can use that to pay for stretches. Anyone can benefit, sedentary to athlete.
So
to healing.
who does your marketing? Is it the StretchLab world of infrastructure that basically says you're a franchise and we're going to advertise for you, and they take care of all that? Because I know as a business, it's such a challenge for advertising, such a challenge. So who does your marketing?
That's probably best answered by Steve and Sherry.
We have corporate has suggestions. They have preferred partners that they work with, that they give us a selection of digital advertisers that we work with, and then we pick and choose and figure out.
But who does your Google ads, your Facebook? Who does your ads?
So we use a company called Franchise Focused Marketing FFM, and they'll do Instagram, they'll do Meta, or
of course
Google. And that's what we're
so
doing.
I guess so. If I market myself here, we have my coaches and our students here, and they'll market. So is it a generic kind of ad-based platform where it's StretchLab and then they have generic coaches or people who are working? It's not like your own personal people.
Yeah.
Like if I saw Lisa, I'm like, I want Lisa, but she's not in the posts.
Right.
I understand.
She's going to be on, as our other flexologists are on our website.
Right.
So that they can read her background and see if it's something that they would like to do.
Gotcha. So can you do posts on your own? Because I think you have Marlboro. It's StretchLab Marlboro.
Yes.
So yeah, you could do that with Instagram. So you can. So we allow all of our coaches to post every day their own students, so they can see the gradual, I guess, transition. Right? So, and I'm just saying as a business owner to business owners is when you have somebody who's like 91 and you see them, can you post videos like that? Like we have kids who for the first time are picking up a guitar, and then 3 months later they're playing the Stone Pony. It's like we see this whole transition, and parents get to see it. If you have people coming in, do you have like a waiver that says you're allowed to use them as social media, as almost like a social proof that this works? Like, oh, you have a bad back, but the stretching, like David Goggin talks about, this person and their story. If you go with them for the 12-week program or whatever it is, and you document that on an Instagram or a TikTok or Facebook, that's pretty, to me, that would be a pretty important way to really advertise the importance of this, because stretching is huge. I know that from reading the book. But for the folks that don't see before and now, and I don't like to say before and after, before and now, because everybody wants to be here now. After is like, oh, that was 3 weeks ago. But if you could do before and now, do you have the ability to take customers? Are you allowed to do that with social media?
You know, we haven't yet. I really like what you're saying, though. I know that some of our flexologists share some of that on their pages.
Yeah.
And we have client testimonial in the form of Google reviews, and we have a couple of client
Yeah,
testimonials.
you have a lot of Google reviews, real like 4
Yes.
point something ratings, 4.9 ratings. It's
Yeah,
great.
A lot of happy customers.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
I like what you're saying. I really do. I think that's really cool.
yeah, it's almost like the journey, right? It's so
Yeah.
we have in the schools, it's called the hero's journey. We use it for music lessons like Star Wars, you know. So and
Joseph Campbell, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Wow, you know it. She knows
know
it.
it.
That's why she's the head of sales now. No, but so the reason why we use the hero's journey is to let the coaches know that they're not the hero. The hero is the student. So being able to go from taking a guitar lesson to the stage of the Stone Pony, the Starland Ballroom, or the Bitter End is a huge transformation of the kid's confidence and self-esteem, because there's a lot to say about being able to transition from having a bad back or not being able to play with your grandchildren. I mean, crap, that's a really great way to say you want to spend more time with your grandkids and, you know, practice playing baseball. Well, you need to stretch and be limb enough to swing a baseball bat or throw a baseball or practice some football. So those are ways that you can do into the transition, and then have maybe like the grandfather and the son saying how now they can have a catch in their backyard. Things like that.
Yeah.
Because I think social media is so important to show the before and now pictures of or videos of what StretchLab can do. That's just my own
No,
thoughts
I think
about it.
that's great. I love that
Oh, thank you.
you're giving that out, because we've considered it. and
Yeah.
To hear it.
I guess then the next question is, were you guys open before or after COVID?
Right after.
Oh, you guys got lucky. 5 months before we had a lockdown, November 2019, we opened up here. We were closed 5 months later.
Oh, wow.
That was terrible, yeah.
That sounds awful.
But we went virtual, and that's my next question. Do you guys, let's say, and that's the one thing, so Rock Out Loud is I developed a platform in 2017. Just a quick side note, I have a music school in New York, and if it was snowing, we would close our school for like 3 weeks a year because of snowstorms and inclement weather, and it would be 6 months before we have all our students make up those lessons. So I would develop the platform that we can use virtually called Rock Out Loud Live, where people from all over the world, it's in 174 countries right now, using it to teach music lessons virtually. We beat Zoom, actually, in terms of music teachers and stuff like that. But do you guys use a platform, and is there any way to use StretchLab as a virtual tool for somebody that moves, or college students that loves what you do, and you know their bodies well enough that you can actually do something virtual without being there to move them?
No, it's really X Plus.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to mention, is that it's hands-on practitioner assisted stretching. However, we do give homework. They do go into an app that they're allowed to download
What is
when
that
they
called?
become a member. It's called Exponential.
Oh, okay.
Is it called X Plus now?
X
X Plus.
Okay.
We use that to give homework. They can use that. Like it's specified stretching. So if you're a golfer, there's a 10 to 15 minute stretch routine there. But then also it's specified to injury and things like that. So they can use that and the homework given. But mostly this is a hands-on practitioner
So
assistant
your
type
app,
thing.
is that a live feed, or is it basically program videos?
Program videos.
I got you. Is that something that you think you'd be able to do as an add value? Is to add virtual? Even, my thought is you sell a package for a month. Let's say it's 6 for a month and 2 virtual. You can, you bump that up a little bit to just coach somebody and say, you maybe can't stretch with us here, but we can do this in the meantime.
But that's what Exponential Plus is. It's part of the membership.
Right, but it's not a live video. It's videos.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Targeted to certain body
Gotcha.
parts or activities, things like that.
Gotcha.
We find that most people stretching is one of those things that it gets left behind and they don't want to
Really?
do it on their own. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you're willing to get on the treadmill, you know, in your basement or at the gym.
You're right.
But stretching, I'll take 3 minutes to do it. So when we give people homework to do, the majority, I don't know, maybe 10% of our members, and that's being generous, do the homework that we assign to them. They want to come in and get the experience of the whole ecosystem. They want to get the maps run done. They want to, you know, have the hands-on touch. They want to go through the breathing. They want to sense everything. And that's actually the benefit. And they're coming in with their goal every time they come in, and they have a vision of it. And when they're at home, it just...
How long is the at-home homework? Just curious. Is it 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
Yeah.
And really? Wow, I would think that 10 minutes is easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
time.
it's
That's
time.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Accountability, yeah.
So I just, I think that what you're doing is great, but I think it's so important to honor not only you, but Steve and Sherry to have you here, because they're the ones that said, you're the general manager, you belong up here. And
Well, that's awesome.
it speaks volumes of you and what they think of you. So, I do that all the time. That's why it's great to see that there's people that support people that work with them. And I keep saying work with them. I'm not saying work for them, because there is some things that I do and some things I don't do well. And, if I can find somebody that could really show what the business is about and it doesn't include me, I think that's great. And they did that. So they speaks volumes of what they think of you.
Yeah,
So
they're awesome.
I
They're
appreciate
absolutely
you for you being here, because they said, Steve said, I think it was you that said, yeah, I'm not going to be on the podcast. We're going to have Lisa on the podcast. And I was like, wow, that's great that he was honoring you in that sense. And you're there just since January. I mean, at the new location.
Correct.
Right? But how long have you been with the franchise?
Since September.
Oh, so not even a full year.
No.
Wow, you must be a type A plus plus plus. Is that right? Usually, that's what you usually get, right?
We know how lucky we are.
God. Do you have a family, kids?
Yeah, I have 3 grown kids.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're scattered. So the oldest is in Texas.
Wow.
The next is in Pennsylvania, and my daughter's in California. She's a baby.
Wow. That's amazing. And you
Yeah.
still find time to do your stretching.
Absolutely.
So I'll ask you this, because I ask this to everybody that joins the podcast, and basically the last way, or the way we end it is, I just tell a little quick story about my dad. My dad introduced me to a Ford Mustang when I was like 17 years old. It was in Brooklyn. I was going to a music store, and we stopped at a red light, and there's this beautiful red 1965 Mustang. I was like, Dad, that's a beautiful car. What kind of car is it? He said, oh, it's one of my favorite cars. It's a Ford Mustang, and it was huge, in 64 and a half. In June it came out, and I wanted one, and I ended up with a Fairlane, and I promised my dad that I'll always have a Ford Mustang. So years later, putting at the time it was a 66 Ford Mustang convertible in my garage. I put the door down, and my dad said, I just came back from church, and the priest said something very, very profound to me. He said, everything that we own in this world will soon one day be owned by somebody else. So your Mustang is going to be owned by somebody else. Your house will be somebody else. Everything. He said, what are you here for? What are you in it for? And I didn't realize what kind of question that was until I reflected years later when I was a lot older. So I'm going to ask you that question. Everything goes away. StretchLab and, everything that you've owned is gone. But how do you want to be remembered, Lisa Elg?
Oh, that is such a good question, because I've actually thought about that. My kids are grown, they're adults, and I want to be remembered as someone who loved. Just loved. When you think of me,
I love that.
You were loved by me.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Thanks.
And I'm sure your kids would really, really be happy to hear that too, because I'm sure they feel loved.
I hope so, Jules.
Well, I want to thank you so very much. I want to honor you for being here and taking the time
thanks.
to talk
This
about
is so fun.
StretchLab. So let's just, your, contact information. I know that I want to say that there was a Mother's Day and there's also a Father's Day, but if somebody sees that way after Father's Day is over, where could they see you for the latest, packages, offerings? What's your website?
So you can certainly go on to StretchLab Marlboro. We always offer an intro price that's half price, both for 50 minutes and 25 minutes. Most people find us on Instagram and Facebook.
Gotcha. Okay, and I guess we'll reach out to Lisa, who'll probably running more franchises, because there's 3. There's only 2 right now, but there's a 3rd one coming, right, Lisa?
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Lisa Elg and StretchLab.